Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be learning about Dazzle as a position 5. This is a hero with a really high win rate right now at 53%, and I think it's one of the best pub supports in the game. Also recently in my Twitch, we were having a lot of discussion over Greaves. It was specifically about the idea of Greaves on Dazzle, and basically I went into depth about why that build is so bad, and why so many 2Ks and 3Ks grieve. And so I'd like to bring that discussion here today to YouTube and just go over in general how to skill, play, do everything on Dazzle. By the way guys, if you want to become absolutely broken, well, what you need to do is sign up to the GameLeap website down below right now. The reason why you should do that is because every single day we post a new video there. Content that you simply just will never get on YouTube, we post every single day to the website. It's really top tier stuff. I'm very proud of what I make over there. We also have other creators, many of my great friends who are top tier Dota players, creating guides about different heroes, different roles, different items, skill builds, talent builds, everything you need to know to get to the next rank. So if you feel a little bit lost, you're a little bit stuck, click the link down below. I'll see you guys there. And now let's get into the video. All right, so let's start it off with the starting item build. We're gonna be watching Rogix here today, and he actually goes for a Blightstone. I believe Blightstone increases the damage on Poison Touch because Poison Touch is a physical damage spell, but in general, I'm much more of a fan of going Windlace. The reason for that is how Poison Touch currently works is that every single time you hit the person, it reapplies the Poison Touch and it does bonus slow per hit, currently 2% per hit, which is actually quite a lot, assuming you hit them 4 or 5 times, that adds up to, you know, a 10% slow. But other than that, I do like his items. Keep in mind that he random this game, but in general, what I recommend you do is you go Windlace, plus the Tangos, 2 branches, and a Clarity, as well as, of course, a Sentry Ward. And the reason why is you want to have a nice mix of stats. You want to be able to man up as Dazzle, and that's the items that let you do that, right? All the extra stats. However, once the lane starts, assuming you don't have this, you know, these bonus items from randoming, basically what you're going to want to do is ship out a Salve as soon as possible, as well as a few Clarities. Also keep in mind that Dazzle is one of those heroes that just dominates rune fights. Obviously for, you know, the reason that Poison Touch applies on multiple units, and it just does a ton of damage in the early game, as well as provides a really nice slow. So naturally, this is a hero that you want to be incentivizing your team to take rune fights. Now in the laning stage, what you're generally looking to do is go for Poison Touches on isolated targets. You don't really want to fight into 2 heroes, and this is what most people do wrong. They'll walk up to the lane, they'll like walk through the wave and go for some long range Poison Touch they can't actually use. And that is why, in general on Dazzle, what you want to do is make sure you keep your pole camp open. Because if anyone ever contests the pole, Poison Touch becomes the best ability in the game, because you get to run them down for as long as you want. On top of that, you'll see in this clip here, he sees an isolated Marcy, and this is the perfect opportunity to go for Poison Touch. Axe is busy dragging the wave, so he doesn't really want to fight, and as a result, they're able to chop down this Marcy. You can see the power of Poison Touch here. It just does an insane amount of damage, and the Marcy goes down. Obviously, that's worth it. You know, Axe gets a return kill, but it's big for this Fen. Now, as the lane progresses, you're going to notice that your hero has, like, some of the highest mana problems of all heroes in Dota. Like, Dazzle has a crazy amount of mana problems. So, you basically need to A, die, and B, buy Clarities. Like, you have to do both. You essentially want to play this hero like a maniac, especially when you hit level 3. Poison Touch almost doubles in damage. It's really nutty how good this hero and this ability scales early into the lane, and so you want to play really aggressive, which is why you need to spam early game and small items, right? Spam the small items, boots, Clarities, stick, everything like that. And you'll see in this clip here, free kill onto the Axe. If people even go relatively out of position, they're just dead against Dazzle. And so one thing you also have to learn to make sure that that is the case is attack moving. If you cast Poison Touch and cannot attack move, it is a shitty spell, okay? But in this clip here, you'll notice, because, by the way, your teammates can't apply the Poison Touch. It's only you. And so, you notice he hits, moves, hits, moves, hits, moves. If you don't do this, you're gonna kill no one as Dazzle, and you're gonna be like, this hero isn't as good as I thought. And you can see the mayhem, you want it to continue at level 3, which is why a lane like Dazzle Sven is really nice. In general, when you're drafting Dazzle, you should request heroes like Sven, Troll. I think PA is honestly okay. Anything with some sort of a slower stun, make sure that Poison Touch is useful. So synergize Poison Touch with your stuns and slows. It makes the spell 10 times better. You'll see in this clip here, I have no idea what Marcy and the Axe were doing. Definitely nothing good, because they group up 2-man Poison Touch. He can reapply both. I actually think he almost forgot to, but he got it at the last second there. And Axe goes down. People really can't run away from this spell. Beautifully done. So after that, I'd like to say a couple things I disagree with. Number one, I think Mana Boots, it's okay, and it's quite nice when you get your ulti, because then you get cooldown reduced Mana Boots, which is actually really valuable. It's very strong. But the main thing I disagree with here is the lack of Shallow Grave at level 5. I do think that maxing Poison Touch makes a lot of sense and in general seems very logical. The problem with it though is that there's a lot of situations in the early game where Grave is just nice to have. It also synergizes with Bad Juju when you hit level 6, and so you can apply a lot more armor reduction, right? An extra 2 armor reduction. And you'll see even throughout the next few clips, Grave definitely would have came into play, especially like right here, he gets gone on by Storm. This is a pretty easy Grave, keep himself alive, disengage. And the thing is, you might be like, oh, but you know, a lot of the time I just die after Grave. Most of the time it's fine. You're gonna die after Grave. It leaves you at 1 HP. That's why it's such a weird ability. The reason why it's good is it buys time. It makes people overcommit. And that's how you should look at it. Now moving on, make sure you buy Fluffy Hats on Dazzle, as well as Magic Wand. This is why when people rush Greaves with no small items, I want to go insane. Dazzle is a hero that actually can be really annoying, and in fact a bully in the early game. You can see him messing with Marcy here. The thing is, a lot of the time you can even do more than this. Let's say it's a Centaur for instance, and Centaur doesn't have Stampede or he's alone. You can literally walk up to an offlane Centaur, even one with Vanguard, and completely kick them out of a lane alone, because that's how Poison Touch works. It just kites people out. However, if you don't go any HP items, and instead you have a Headrest, which is not going to keep you alive if you get ganked, then you just die. And then you don't get Shallow Grave off, or your heal off, or Poison Touch off. And when you're playing Dazzle, a lot of the time you're going to get jumped, and you need to be able to get these spells off. The next thing I want to discuss is that Dazzle is one of the best dead lane supports in the game. This entire game he's basically spent in the safe lane. The reason for that is Dazzle's just kind of a shit roamer. Like really, Poison Touch requires you to get multiple auto attacks in. If you're diving a tower, that's probably not going to happen. Your E is really not that good at diving. Grave obviously does nothing. And so instead, what you want to do is play this hero for items. What's so great about Dazzle is that he also gets CDR on items. So if you get items, for instance Mech and Medallion, he's even going Medallion in this game, which I like. It helps you Roshan really quickly and just in general amplifies the armor reduction that your hero does. So personally, I think Medallion is the best item or one of the best items. But yeah, your hero's really good at pushing into dead lane because you have some of the best wave shove in the game, so you can kill the waves quickly without getting ganked, right? Poison Touch and Shadow Wave are both nutty good spells for shoving waves and farming jungle camps. Literally, if you get left alone and you have Mana Boots, you should be using Poison Touch to farm nearby neutral camps. I'm not kidding. You easily kill them. You just have to split up your auto attacks to keep the Poison Touch going, and you can farm neutrals. And then all of a sudden, and we'll see this, you show up to fights later on with good item timings, and you're just going to have a lot of impact and be really tanky. Also, last thing to keep in mind before we look at this small engagement here, I do also want to mention that Dazzle is a good dead lane hero because of Grave. If you get Gun on, you can buy a lot of time because of the fact that you buy HP items like Wand and Fluffy Hat, Raindrops. Please buy these items, guys. And you have Grave to buy more time. Now, when it comes to skirmishes, the spellcasting is very simple, besides Grave, but I just want to make sure you guys are doing it correct. Please use everything as fast as possible. If someone's missing 100 HP, you should heal them. You want to get armor reduction going. That is the main advantage of this hero, just building up armor reduction and just getting out your low cooldown spells. So fight breaks out, immediate QE, no hesitation, right? QE. After that, the simple play is to reapply Poison Touch. I honestly don't know why he doesn't here. I think he just forgot. He eventually did it, but nonetheless, you see, that's the point. Once the E comes back up again, generally going to cast it again. Even here, I think he should have Shadow Waved. It would indeed apply the Bad Juju to the Ursa. The range is very far, as you can see, and you just want to heal up your teammates. You don't need to get massive Shadow Waves. You don't have to use it to hit multiple targets. Like even here, I think he's taking a little bit too long to cast his spells. Get everything out. Get your spells out. Cast them as much as humanly possible besides Grave. That was a nice Grave. I think the Timber was fine anyway, so maybe it wasn't that nice. There's also an Axe, which kind of sucks. But nonetheless, you can see that is the gist. He did a pretty good job of it, and that's how you carry your fights. And hopefully this makes sense why rushing Mech is generally bad. The buildup of Mech stinks in the early game fights. Like, I cannot stress this enough. The buildup of Mech stinks early on. The active, when you get it, is great. But what people don't understand in Dota is it's a game of timings. If you lose the minute 14, 13, 12, 8-minute fight whenever it takes place in your match because you have a Headrest instead of a Wand, or you don't have a Fluffy Hat Raindrops, instead you have a Chainmail, which if you think about the HP difference between Fluffy Hat Raindrops early game and Chainmail, it's not even close. Also considering, sometimes you can't even afford the Chainmail and you can only afford one of the Infused Raindrops or Fluffy Hat. You don't always get a lot of farm on support, so please buy the small items so you can buy time. Even in this clip here, it might not seem like a big deal, but he goes in, gets a Grave off, gets Gone On, doesn't panic too hard, gets his Poison Touch off, and requires a full overpower and a few more autos from Marcy and Ursa to kill him. Even 1 or 2, 3 seconds is a huge deal in the early game. The next thing to mention is that Dazzle's really good at taking Roche. Of course, with this Medallion build, it's just very efficient, right? Lower cooldown Medallion. On top of that, you have a consistent Shadow Wave healing up your team. So even Poison Touch is really good. If you can apply it onto Roshan, just keep that damage going, it really adds up over time. So definitely emphasize taking Roche for your teammates. Also consider that Shadow Wave does more damage to more units, and so this is just in general a good play to make as Dazzle. The next thing, as the mid game progresses, if your team ever loses a fight, you don't want to go back to base, you want to go out on the map. You're playing a position 5 that has some of the best wave shove in the game, and you're playing position 5. Doesn't really matter if you die, guys. Like, honestly, especially if you're a low level. He's actually a decently high level this game, but like, let's say you're really underfarmed for whatever reason, which, probably means you didn't take any neutral camps and didn't spam your spells or win the lane. But disregarding that, his Timber dies here, so obviously they don't really want to make any plays until he's back alive. And his team is just farming. They didn't have God Strength at the time. So instead of forcing a fight around God Strength, around Chrono, around Meta, around, a PA with no BKB, go to the side lanes, right? Go to the side lanes. That's what he does here. All you do, Poison Touch, Shadow Wave late. Don't cast them at the same time. You'll miss the CS. Get the CS. Poison Touch, let it tick for like 2 or 3 seconds, more so 2, and then Shadow Wave. Secure the CS, back off. It's really quick, it's really efficient, and it means you probably won't get ganked. Upcoming here is my favorite play of the game. Walking out of base. You know what it is. Poison Touch the large camp and hit it. Medallion the large creep. Farm it up. It's just, yeah, I don't know, man. I just love seeing supports do this, because most people are be like, oh, I can't. It's just like, guys, just farm it up. There's nothing happening in the game. It's okay to take a camp or two. Now, of course, if the Sven was right next to him and he did that, I'd be like, all right, that's pretty questionable. And upcoming here is the value of having small items on Dazzle. It's also very important to get a tanky neutral item. Personally, my favorite is Pigpole. It's just so value. But you can see in this fight here, let's watch the execution. Fight breaks out. He should have used the Medallion on someone. Bit of a mistake. Probably should have just popped it on Dazzle. Guarantee the burst. Either way, goes in. Alright, he gets silenced. Has to kite out. So he moves back a little bit. Not too far. Because honestly, you don't want to go too far away. Because you want to be close for your Poison Touch. You want to be close for your Shadow Wave. And for your mech at this point in the game. And Storm ends up going on him, right? But because he has a wand and a mech, he's able to pop the mech. Help at the Sven. Gets gone on, right? Honestly, kind of panics a little bit here. I will say that Rajix, as a player, if he's watching this, has to get a little bit faster with his Shadow Waves. Sometimes, I mean, to be fair, he was like worrying about whether or not he should Grave there, so I get it. But gets off Shadow Wave, now continues to get gone on by Storm, pops Wand, and barely lives this next set of spells. Literally lives with 21 HP, which lets him get the Grave off. And you can imagine how much mana he has literally forced Storm to use here, and he doesn't even die. Insane. Beautifully played fight. Like, literally, hopefully that shows you why you need to go items like this, why you need to prioritize spamming your spells. Because eventually an Ursa will kill you. Okay, now let's talk about Guardian Greaves. I'm gonna make it as brief as humanly possible why I don't think the item is very good. Okay, number 1. The buildup is not great, okay? Meta Boots, fine. Mech, fine. I talked about why rushing mech early isn't that great though, which is part of it. That's part of the issue why when I see like literally a Dazzle with like 1 item and it's just Greaves, I just want to peek on my mouth. Because you know that means they rushed mech and they had this horrible set of timings where they have a headdress and a chain. But moving on from there, Buckler. I mean, it's not terrible. It's okay sometimes, some games. I mean, the odds 3 armor is going to keep you alive is probably pretty low compared to like Raindrops plus Fluffy Hat. Once again, you have to kind of consider that anytime you buy like a 500 gold item, it's in like basically competition with Raindrops Fluffy Hat, which is like kind of the best early game set of defensive items besides Wand, which is obviously a must. And then finally, the biggest problem is not only that the fact that the active is just not as good as people think, But the recipe is 1,500 gold. 1,500. Okay, that is the same cost as a Ghost Scepter, which is what he buys this game. Okay, he's not gonna live if he gets jumped by Storm and like pops Greaves. That's not gonna keep him alive. Why? Because then the Ursa is gonna follow it up and burst him. But if Storm goes on him and he instant pops a Ghost Scepter, he's totally fine this game, right? That's the thing. People actually jump backliners quick and properly, and then you die, and then you get nothing off. You can't pre-pop Greaves. If you're full HP and you get stunned, it's not like or you're bad to get stunned. You can't just pop Greaves. That's not how it works, right? So that doesn't work. And then the passive is honestly kind of just shit. I'm not gonna lie. I am so not a fan of this passive. Like it grants a bit of HP regen and armor. Mech already does that. And then if they fall below 20% HP, which is like literally nothing, 20%, then they get 10 armor, which is a lot of armor. I will say it's a lot of armor, but you're already 20% HP. Odds are you're just gonna die to a nuke at that point, or just another auto attack. And then the active, like, yes, it dispels, but it does not dispel your whole team. It only dispels you. If it dispelled your whole team, I'd be like, okay, there's a lot of uses where this item actually is quite good, because then it's a much more flexible item and it could literally purge an entire team. It's not what it does, it only purges you. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this guide on Dazzle. In terms of the skill build, because I didn't really fully cover it, generally you just want to max out Poison Touch with 1 point Engrave, 2 points in Wave for the laning stage, right? So 202 in the lane, then Engrave at 5, Bad Juju at 6, max out Touch. Then generally I max out Shadow Wave. He ended up actually leaving Shadow Wave at 3 points this game and taking Grave instead. Honestly, I don't think it matters very much. He even skipped his level 10 talent, which I think makes sense. If you're going to rush Mana Boots, you don't need the Mana Regen talent because of the fact that Bad Juju reduces the Mana Boots cooldown. And at level 15, you actually have one of the best talents in the game. 20 Strength at level 15 is actually insane. It's quite ridiculous how good this talent is. 400 HP, as well as HP regen, is insane. So please take that talent. At level 20, I recommend Heal on Shallow Grave End. Poison Touch DPS is tempting, but honestly as a support, you're not really reapplying it. The heal is actually quite nice. You can even just use it to heal people. It does do that. At level 25, honestly, this one depends. If they're low armor and you have a bunch of right clickers, take the armor reduction. Otherwise, I think generally Poison Touch slow is just better because it's literally 32% more slow, which makes Poison Touch a 50% slow flat. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!